This video is going to be looking at devising and the kind of skills you need to master when you start devising your own performances. Let's start by finding out what devising is in the first place. Devising theatre is when you and a group of other people work together to create a performance that doesn't have a script or a predetermined idea like a story or a plot. Instead, you are given a stimulus from which you build ideas from, and from those ideas develop performance material. A stimulus really can be anything, but it is something that excites your imagination and will sow the seeds of the piece of drama. It could be a piece of fiction or non-fiction, a poem, an object, a picture, a newspaper, a web article, or a piece of music. It really could be anything from which you are going to start creating a piece of theatre from. Once you get your stimulus, it's really important that you remain open to as many ideas as you possibly can. And you need to make sure that you record and write down all those responses in some form so that you can refer to them later on in the process. I always suggest, as a guide, that you should be having at least 3 different ideas, because your first idea is always the most basic. It's the one that comes into your head first. The second idea is always a development on from that first idea, but it isn't until you get to the 3rd, 4th or even 5th ideas is when your brain is really thinking and you're really having lots of creative, good ideas to develop from. You always want to have more than one idea so that you can choose the best one to go and create your piece of drama about. Here's a good way to help you mind map your ideas. So we start off with the central idea that you've got, the central stimulus. And from that you have your first initial idea, or maybe ideas. Like I said earlier, your second idea is always going to be a development of your first idea. So really, we want to start thinking about our third idea, or even our fourth idea, as the ones that are really creative and really interesting. You could use this mind map as a model for when you get your stimulus in class and think about how you are going to create ideas from that stimulus. Once you've got all these ideas, you might find that your ideas are going in one of 2 directions. In either the direction of a story, something that we might call naturalistic, or it might be towards a theme or a concept, and that might be presented in a bit more of an abstract concept, an abstract way. Let's start thinking about what happens if your idea is pointing towards a storyline, or, in this instance, a narrative. So you already have a clear narrative from your ideas. The story might have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Nevertheless, at this stage you must still consider the effect you hope to have on your audience. From the story that you are developing, how do you want them to feel about the performance? Do you want them to feel moved, gripped, questioned, scared? Do you want to build up elements of tension within them? You could always have a twist at the end of your tale. So as you are reflecting on your ideas that you've developed from this stimulus, and perhaps a narrative might start to form, how can you develop that narrative so that you are giving the audience an experience of when they are watching the performance? On the other side, your ideas might be going towards a theme or a concept and it will be a lot easier to present these in an abstract form, perhaps in this instance, this example, through abstract still imagery. These can also be called visual metaphors, and here I've got some examples. So the first one is to communicate emotions of a scene in a representational symbolic way without any realism, but focusing on physicalizing emotions, such as representing the act of having to choose by showing the teenager literally being pulled in two opposing directions by parents to symbolize being torn between them, or to move from an archetypal image of a happy family to another where the family have physically fallen apart in the space to represent the breakup of the family unit, or using levels to show how trapped the teenager feels, kneeling on the ground, having been caught between the two parents. So these are the skills you need when you are devising a performance from scratch. You need to be open-minded as soon as you get your stimulus, and have as many different ideas as you possibly can, and have new ideas based upon each and every idea that you get, so that you've got a nice wide range of ideas that you can build upon and turn into a performance. You need to be mindful of where you're going with those two ideas. Some ideas might go towards something which is having a storyline and a narrative which you can create and act out, or it might be going towards something which is more abstract, a visual metaphor which you can recreate using still images and levels and use of space.